Now, speaking of making things sound a lot better, we all know and love distortion. We've been living with distortion all these years. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. But there's one problem with distortion, which is there's a tremendous amount of intermodulation interference. So that if you're playing the high notes, if you're playing high up on the neck, and then you play like a low string, they really interact with each other. You're hearing a lot of stuff in there that are not the notes that I'm playing. You're hearing a lot of intermodulation distortion. So the one way to get around that, and by the way, here's what the interface looks like. They have a lot of stomp box effects in here. One way around that is to just use less distortion. So we can use something like this distortion plus, and you get a little more, you get more articulation. But now we've lost all the distortion. Now so what we have here is a multi-band distortion device. This is based on something I made back in the 80s called the Quadrafuzz. And what it does is it splits the guitar into 4 bands, like lows, low mids, and highs, distorts them individually so they don't interact with each other, and then sums them back together again. So you get a much more focused type of sound. So if I do that same kind of riff up here, even though I'm constantly hitting that low string and those high strings, there's plenty of distortion and you hear it really well articulated. And the other thing is with power chords, again, you don't have all those tones fighting with each other, so they're super clean. Now, I also have a little sequence here so I can play with some of these knobs, because you can adjust the level of each band, you can bump up the resonance in each band, you have a tone control and an attack. So let's suppose, again, let's just play something here. If you want to just emphasize only the mids, upper mids, add some resonance to it. Maybe you want the lower mids. And again, turn up the resonance, and it's almost like that cocked wah type of effect where you put the wah before the amplifier. Or maybe you're working on an album of Finnish death metal wailing songs and you want that really bassy kind of thing. You can take out everything except the bass. Just the highs, you get the idea. You want to create room for the bass player, the highs, the mids. Or you really want to cut through a mix, whatever. So you've got all these options. And the other thing is that I know a producer who swears that this is the ultimate tool for processing kick drum, because he's able to distort just the low part so it doesn't create because he likes using distortion on things because it makes it cut through the track, but by distorting only the low frequencies, it creates a reasonable set of harmonics without getting too high and too weird and then having to filter it and all that. So he's actually even used it for mastering, although I don't know if he wanted me to tell you that. But he uses it set to a very clean setting, the attack way back, the controls, and he works with it to get just a little bit of crunch out of things. So it's a very versatile device. And I don't get anything for it, so I'm not paid to endorse it or anything. I'm just really happy that I have a software version of this thing in hardware that was incredibly touchy and weird. So anyway, so we're good with that.